Good afternoon, my people. What is going on? It is your main man, Charles Tank Harris, the founder and chief visionary officer of the financial literacy platform Wealth Our Way, where our motto is wealth is not only for the wealthy. I welcome each and every one of you to episode 135. Do you really want it? But before we get into what we're talking about today, you know I got to practice the attitude of gratitude and thank each and every one of you who are here with me live as I stream across the Wealth Our Way Facebook page and the Wealth Our Way Network YouTube page. I also want to give that Wild Nation salute to every member of the family who watches this program pre-recorded overnight, over the weekends, or wherever you can squeeze 15 minutes of financial literacy in. And last but not least, a heartfelt how are you to the good folks on the Life 101 platform who listen to the audio recording of this very here program. I got to start off by asking you, was the Financial Power Hour not fire last night? Like straight fire. I was so blessed to have the brother Charlie Mack, Philly's own. Who are you, Mr. Philadelphia? That's my guy. Learned something about him last night that I didn't know. That not only, was he the cat that turned me on to how to become a professional in terms of being a bodyguard and working with celebrities, which I have now parlayed into my financial services career. He was the first person to give me an introduction as to how you conduct yourself around professionals in the entertainment space, and I thank him for that all the time. I also found out last night that we both dropped out of John Bartram High School, and I don't wear on my sleeve as a badge of honor that I dropped out of high school. Circumstances were what they were. But the reality is that it's always great when I'm telling other people, when I'm pouring into people the way Charlie has poured into me, that it is not where you start, but definitely where you finish. And that this is not a sprint, but it is a marathon, and the race goes to he who endureth to the end. When you're a young Black man on the streets of any inner city, but Philadelphia is notoriously rough, and you drop out of high school, the chances of you becoming a success go down to this, and the chances of you ending up in the correctional institution go up to this. And the fact that we were both able to navigate from that spot in our life to the spot where we are both prospering emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, have families of our own, pour into the community. I just think that's just amazing. So once again, thank you, Charlie Mack. Always my brother, friend of the program now. Love, love, love having you here. Today, I want to talk about, like the caption says, do you really want it? There is so much that goes on a daily basis in my life. And a lot of what I do, besides for just talking directly about a financial issue, is, I don't want to use the term motivational or inspirational, but it's instructional. It's designed to, by using my life as an example and the life experience that I have with clients and other people in my network, it's designed to give you a blueprint that you can pick and choose from. The beauty of getting advice or information from other people when it's sound advice is that you have the complete option, and it's in your control to cafeteria plan that information, to pick the parts that serve you and ignore the parts that do not. And one of the reasons I read so many books, I'm trying to get into listening to podcasts, because I'm going to have a podcast and I want to put karmic energy out there that I will listen to a podcast, so people may listen to my podcast. One of the reasons I listen to this is because, like Charlie Mack said when he was instructing me to write a book, there are life experiences that people have that you can benefit from without having to go through or paying the price in pain that they may have paid. I was talking to the gentleman in my accountability group this morning about Will Smith's book, which I've already told you, cats. If you have not listened to or read Will, you're hurting yourself. Go get that book. And no questions asked. My one brother in my accountability group lost his father. One of his deepest life regrets is that he didn't make it to his father's bedside before his father passed away. And Will talks about in his book how he was not only able to spend time with his dad when he got his diagnosis that he was going to pass, but that the diagnosis was premature and that his father lived an additional 3 months. Just the insight that he gives in this book on the importance of every moment in life is enough to make the purchase and the read and the listen worthwhile. When I give people information, when people call me for information and they say, Tank, I'm living check to check. Tank, my credit is bad. Tank, my wife about to leave me. Tank, my husband won't stay out the streets. And they come at me with a lot of different myriad of situations, but normally it circles back around to something financial. When this occurs, I value my time. So I always make sure that the person who's getting my time values it as well. And the number one thing I'm always trying to ascertain is, do you really want it? Do you want the answer that I have for you? Do you want the path that you're going to be directed on? I'm currently listening to a few books. One of them is Rick Ross's Boss Up. And he was a great day to boss up. He was just talking about how he's not the best hip hop artist. In fact, and I just didn't realize this until I listened to him say it yesterday, he's only had one platinum album. And he said it took 10 years for that album to go platinum. But he is amongst one of the highest ranking MCs in terms of net worth because of his grind, his acumen for work, and his business mindset, his attention to detail, and his desire to keep accumulating wealth. When I ask people if they want it, the number one thing that will make me know whether they're telling the truth or not is how willing they are to change their current structure. Because as we all know, we've all heard the cliche, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, that we can't grow in our comfort zone. There's a million cliches I could throw at you. The reality is that what you have done with your life up through tuning into 15 minutes of finance today has gotten you exactly where you're sitting right now. Take inventory of that, determine what part of that you want to keep, what part of that you want to jettison, what part of that you want to improve upon, and then realize what you're really wanting and if you're really prepared to do what is required. It is a constant battle for myself every day. I have two different tanks: the tank I say I want to be and the tank that I put the effort in to be. I'm trying to make them one person. That is my everyday challenge. I am sure that is the challenge of a lot of people. When it comes to our finances, because so much of what we do is dictated by our means, by our ability to do, I give people prudent financial advice every day that they throw away because it sounds too hard or it takes them too far off the path that they've already decided they want to be on. So here's one. We were talking the other day about a simple change that anybody can make. And I hope you guys have made this change in some bill that you pay. I would challenge each and every one of you as we get ready for the weekend to do this exercise if you have not already. Go through every bill that you pay and see which ones will accept a credit card as opposed to an ACH. So if you have things on auto pay, see which ones will accept a credit card as opposed to an auto draft from your bank. If God forbid you have anything on a debit card, if you have it on a debit card, switch it to a credit card. So long as there is no additional fee from the merchant for you doing that, that's very important to know. Big Tank said, switch to the credit card so long as there's no additional fee. And then make sure you have a credit card that is rewarding you for what you spend. $1 equals a point. You get double dollars if it's gas, if it's a restaurant, if it's a subscription. This is free money. Very similar to when I told you last year about the bank accounts. I told you the other day, and it's in this pile somewhere, I will pull it out, but I got my 1099 from Capital One Bank for $400 because they gave me $400 for opening a bank account. And now I got to pay tax on the $400, but that's free money. If you did nothing else, I don't charge for this program. You guys know that. But if I were charging for this or anything else, $2 a month, $3 a month, there would be people who would no longer come and watch, and that's fine. But I think everybody who's been on this program would realize that you're getting more than $2 or $3 a month from being on here, getting your credit score increased, cutting interest on your debts, learning how to get more in your investments, paying less in taxes. We are at that point in our lives. I know me turning 52 this year with grown children and possibly one day having grandchildren. where we have to be more judicious with our time and our resources. And we have to practice BUD in my book, Best Use of a Dollar. I was looking at another financial advisor's, I shouldn't call her a financial advisor, a financial information source, her Instagram, and she had a little skit up there on why she's not in a hurry to pay her student loans off. And her basic rationale, which I agree with, is my student loan interest rate is 3.75%. The stock market pays 10% on average every year. I would rather put all my money in the stock market and pay my student loan off of the growth from the stock market. Now, the internet is famous for giving you part of the answer. That's how they reel you in to sell you whatever the hook is, which I'm not mad at them. It doesn't always work like that. I tell you all the time that the stock market's a long-term investment. So just that mindset right there of matching up a short-term expense that's due every month with a long-term investment. What happens if the market goes down 30% that year? You can't pay your student loan bill. So that's not necessarily a perfect strategy, but her mindset is correct. The mindset is when you have bills that are costing you 2, 3, 4%, you don't want to pay them off aggressively. Pay them off at the time that they're due and live off of the growth of your investments that are more long-term in nature. Conversely, people ask me all the time, Tank, should I pay this debt down or invest this money, increase my savings? Look at what your investments and your savings are earning you. Look at what your debt is costing you. So if you have a credit card that is 14.99% APR, that means that you have to earn enough money that after taxes, it's 14.99%, which means roughly it's pre-taxed rate. What you have to earn is basically making that debt cost you more like 17, 18, 20%. Well, the stock market doesn't do 17, 18, 20%. It historically does 10%. So if you had $1 and you're trying to find the best use of that dollar, should you invest it in the stock market or should you pay your debt down faster? In that instance, you pay the debt down faster because the cost is higher. These are small choices that I come on here and talk about all the time. I was going to say every day, but I've cut back to Tuesdays and Thursdays. How bad do you really want it? Are you prepared to make a financial date with yourself, with your spouse, with your children, whoever is important to you? Are you invested enough to make a financial date every week and review your finances? My clients go on the eMoney portal, the Wealth Our Way Wow portal powered by eMoney, and they look at their finances. They're supposed to. If they don't, they got to deal with me. Every Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, whatever is their day of the week, to make sure that everything is going according to plan. I said this a couple episodes ago. You do not sit down with a blueprint for a skyscraper, do all of the work, and end up with a ship. It doesn't happen. Whatever your blueprint was for, if you do what that blueprint tells you to do, you're going to end up with that item. People do not plan to fail. They fail to plan. So the first thing you have to be prepared to do when you answer the question, do you really want it, is know that it's going to come at the sacrifice of some of the things you are currently doing. Because if you could get what you wanted doing what you are currently doing, you would have it already. I tell myself that every day. So the things that I want to improve upon, I realize they require work. And if you really want it, you'll continue to come here and go into other sources. I just made a decision last night that I'm going to start watching more informative stuff on the internet, doing even more research. People already tell me, Tank, you know everything. You're a wealth of knowledge. I'm going to keep learning because I can keep talking about the stuff I've already been talking about, but some of my audience is going to get used to that. I need to talk about new things. I need to start reviewing new things that are coming out, Stash, Acorns, doing episodes that tell you guys whether I think that's a good idea or not. I have to educate. The educator has to be educated. You have that same burden. Prepare yourself for the future one day at a time, starting today. I want you guys to have an amazing weekend. And I got to tell you something that I forgot to tell you last night when I wrapped up the Financial Power Hour. And y'all already know what it is. Wealth is not only for the wealthy. You guys have a great weekend. I will see you here Tuesday. Next Wednesday on the Financial Power Hour, I have NFL veteran and University of Penn instructor Brandon Copeland. Peace.